Some houses are more than just structures of wood and stone. They are vessels of memories, shadows, and secrets that refuse to be forgotten. When the past clings to the walls and whispers echo through empty rooms, a house becomes something more, a place where fear resides. This is the story of such a house, where dreams turn to nightmares and the line between the living and the dead blurred. What begins as a quest for a new beginning can quickly spiral into a confrontation with the unknown, revealing that some doors should never be opened and some secrets should remain buried. In the small picturesque town of La Roche-Bernard, France, there stood an old stone house that had been abandoned for decades. The locals called it the House of Screams, due to the eerie noises that supposedly emanated from it late at night. Despite its stunning appearance, a large structure with ivy-covered walls, grand arched windows, and a garden that had long grown wild, it was avoided by everyone. There were stories about the house, whispers of disappearances, strange occurrences, and tragic deaths that had stained its history. In the 1980s, a young couple named Jacques and Monique decided to move into the house, ignoring the warnings and dark rumors. They were newly married and saw the house as a fresh start, a project that would be their dream home once restored. For them, the legends were nothing more than superstitions, stories made up to entertain bored townsfolk. From the first day, however, Jacques and Monique felt uneasy. The air inside was heavy, carrying a chill that no amount of heating could dispel. The first few nights were restless. They heard faint whispers, like hushed conversations they couldn't quite make out. Monique often woke up feeling as if someone was watching her, but she brushed it off as anxiety from the move. Then the occurrences became more frequent. Doors that they had locked would be found wide open. Jacques would find tools and personal items moved to strange places. Once he found a kitchen knife stabbed into the wall above their bed, something neither of them could explain. Monique began having strange dreams about a child crying in the dark, begging for help. She would wake up in tears, unable to shake the feeling of dread. One night, Jacques woke to find Monique standing at the foot of their bed, staring blankly at the wall. Her eyes were vacant, her face expressionless. He called her name, but she didn't respond. She simply turned and walked out of the bedroom, moving slowly and deliberately, as if guided by some unseen force. Jacques followed, calling her name, but she continued down the dark hallway toward the basement, a place they rarely visited because it was damp and filled with old broken furniture. When she reached the basement door, it swung open on its own, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. Jacques hesitated, feeling a chill run down his spine. He called out to Monique again, but she ignored him, stepping into the pitch-black basement. Jacques grabbed a flashlight and followed, his hands trembling as he descended the creaky wooden stairs. The basement was colder than ever, the air thick with the smell of mold and decay. Monique stood in the middle of the room, facing a crumbling stone wall. She was whispering something repeatedly, her voice soft and rhythmic, like a chant. Jacques approached slowly, shining the flashlight toward the wall. As the light illuminated the surface, he saw that it was covered in hundreds of scratched names and dates, along with the phrase, "I am here," repeated over and over. Jacques grabbed Monique by the shoulders and shook her, snapping her out of her trance. She blinked, confused and scared, having no memory of how she got there. They rushed out of the basement, slamming the door shut behind them. That night, neither of them slept. The whispers continued, growing louder, and at times they both heard what sounded like the distant cries of a child. Determined to uncover the truth about the house, Jacques and Monique began researching its history. They discovered that the house had belonged to a wealthy family in the 19th century, who had mysteriously disappeared one night. There were rumors of foul play, but no bodies were ever found, and the case was left unsolved. Subsequent owners reported bizarre hauntings, with one family fleeing in the middle of the night after claiming to see apparitions of a young girl wandering the halls. Haunted by the knowledge of the house's past, Jacques and Monique decided that the only way to rid themselves of whatever was plaguing them was to renovate the basement. They believed that if they removed the old wall, they might find the source of the disturbances and bring peace to the house. As they began tearing down the wall, Jacques noticed a strange, hollow sound when his hammer struck one section. They cleared away the debris, revealing a hidden doorway sealed off with bricks. Breaking through the bricks, they uncovered a small hidden room. Inside was a sight that would haunt them forever. A makeshift altar covered in soot, surrounded by melted candles, and strange symbols drawn on the walls. In the center of the room lay the skeletal remains of a child, wrapped in a decaying cloth. The sight was horrifying, but even more disturbing was the sensation that the room was alive with a presence, a heavy, suffocating feeling that made it hard to breathe. They immediately called the police, and an investigation confirmed that the remains had been there for at least a century. The child had likely died in a ritualistic sacrifice, connected to the occult symbols on the walls. The discovery made headlines, and the house was declared a crime scene. But even after the remains were removed, the disturbances didn't stop. Monique's health deteriorated rapidly. She was plagued by nightmares, often waking up screaming about the crying child. Jacques began hearing voices urging him to harm himself and Monique. They tried everything, priests, psychics, and even a professional exorcist, but nothing worked. The house seemed cursed, tainted by the tragic past that refused to rest. In the end, Jacques and Monique fled, leaving everything behind. The house once again stood abandoned, its windows dark and empty. Locals still avoid the property, and even today, those who pass by claim they can hear faint screams and whispers coming from within. The house remains a chilling reminder of the tragic events that unfolded within its walls, and no one dares to live there again.